Hey legends, it's James Russell here from TradieVA, and every week on the Time Rich Tradie, we find out what it takes to build a trade empire, get you off the tools, and not spend 80 hours a week doing it. If you like what you hear, subscribe to get more juice. So, the painful thing about cash flow. Today, we're going to talk about that elephant in the room on every job site, cash flow. Now, we're not talking about spreadsheets or your accountant telling you that you're making profit while you ate rice yesterday. I'm talking real life cash flow. You've paid your supplier, your team's been on site for weeks, you're still waiting for the client, builder, whatever money to hit the bank. It's not just for trades dealing with builders, it's for all trades and construction businesses dealing with every client type. I've seen this across all my client types, everybody from maintenance, strata, trades dealing with builders, dealing with clients, commercial, everything. And everyone's got something else to blame half the time. Now, does this sound familiar? You're not running a bank, you're running a business. You shouldn't be floating someone else's job out of your own pockets. You've heard it too many times. Cash flow isn't the problem. It's just a symptom. Today, we're going to fix that disease for good. The 30-day squeeze. Now, this happens more often than you think. You've got suppliers knocking on your door asking for payment 7 days. Meanwhile, your own invoices are sitting with clients for 30, sometimes even 45. It's this cycle of you pushing with your suppliers, you pushing with the clients. Math doesn't work. You're floating materials, labor, subs, waiting every week to be reimbursed. And while that gap might seem normal to you, like that's just what the game needs, or that's just what the expectations are, every day it drags out, you're bleeding margin, you're losing sleep, and you're acting like it's a glorified line of credit. Some of my clients, they don't even think about it until they need the money. Then they go start chasing the client. You didn't sign up to be someone else's renovation bankroll. So unless we fix this cycle, then that's exactly what you're going to be doing. And speaking of cycle, there's a thing we call the cash conversion cycle. And it's something that a lot of businesses don't track. And you should be tracking it as a metric like you do everything else you do. Profit, gross profit, all those standard lines that you put in and you want to get looked at every month. This is one number you really need to know. It'll actually describe how much money you're going to need in the bank as well. So a cash conversion cycle is simple. It is the time between when you pay for something and when your client pays you back. Sometimes this can be reversed, which is dangerous unto itself. If you get paid in advance for something, you get a deposit and then you don't have to pay. So that's going to happen later. Then there's going to be negative cash conversion cycle there that you've got to manage because that's money that's not yours. Then on the flip side, if you're paying for something first, you're going to pay and then there's going to be a charge, and there's actually ways around that. So if you've got 45-day terms, 7-day term suppliers, you're footing the bill for 38 days. Your cash conversion cycle is 38 days. If you're doing 5 to 6 jobs a month, that gap, tens of thousands of dollars sitting in limbo. Now, what if we could get that gap down to 5 days, or better yet, 0? You'd obviously have predictable cash, less stress, more transparency, more leverage with your suppliers, and there's margin in there that you don't even know you're losing. That's what they say. Clients aren't trying to rip you off. They'll happily take 30 to 60 days if you offer it. The real issue is you set the terms. A client's only going to tell you how to run your business when you don't tell them first. When you go in and say, look, this is the way we operate to provide great value for you and to make sure jobs go quickly and are unimpeded, we run these payment terms. That's what we ask from you. And in return, we give you X, Y, and Z. Now, whether you're a trade dealing with a builder, builders are used to dealing with trades who aren't organized, who don't provide a lot of things they need. So you say, look, we provide more than other trades. We provide upfront transparency, confirmations, comprehensive daily reports, etc. There's lots of things you can provide with your business that they really need. But what you expect from them is these payment terms. And you even say, look, we'll even help you by reminding you that these things are coming up so that they're not left being surprised because their admin's probably worse than yours. So you've been teaching your clients it's okay to pay you late. I heard this from a maintenance Sparky that we've got. He just deals with mum and dads, and yet he still sends the invoice maybe 2 or 3 days after a job. And then he tends to start collecting 7, 14 days, sometimes even gives 30 days. These are mum and dad. This isn't even businesses. And I said, you could start tomorrow with COD and lose not one single client. And he's like, I don't believe you. And I said, let's try it. Went through some systems. We pushed it out within a week. Not only did he not lose clients, he had happier clients because he had the value exchange. He did the job, got paid at the time where they were satisfied, and actually had far less communication problems. Clients aren't trying to rip you off. They're just busy. So easy to retrain them. So you've been training them to pay you late. Now we're just going to train them to pay you on time. Let's make it easy. So obviously the same framework we gave him, especially with new clients, new jobs, new terms. You set the terms. Obviously, if you're in building, you can only do 10% deposits, but trades, if there's fixed price, materials can be paid up front. You can set whatever it is you want when it comes down to what you're going to need, but you just got to tell them first. Make sure it's clear up front. Make sure that you are creating your stage claims, your progress claims in a way that protects you from suppliers delaying you. So you got to make sure that you're not putting progress claims at places where you know that there's going to be quite large outlays in the few steps beforehand. So if someone who's doing your siding or someone who's often getting delayed, make sure there's progress claims beforehand to cover you for the stuff that's done before those often delayed trades. So maybe go through your last 5 jobs, see which ones have been delayed, see where you've outlaid prior to progress claims, and start changing around your contracts to allow for progress claims. Obviously, this is for builders or large trade suppliers. What I always like to do as well is don't just put this stuff into a supplier agreement or contract. Have a conversation and a small document that's just pretty much what our promises to you, mutual obligations. I promise you this, you promise me this. And make sure that those payment terms are in there. It's also a great place to put things like variations and other stuff. And for all of the maintenance people here dealing with mum and dads, COD. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Do not invoice after a job. Just get it done. There's plenty of ways to organize your processes so you can get that invoice generated, pulled up, whether it's time materials or whether it's fixed cost, generated, paid before you leave site. I know it sounds like it's a pain. There's lots of barriers, but I guarantee you I've done this for so many years that you will thank me once you put it into place. And then obviously use tech to start following up automatically. And what I mean by following up, you can even, especially with progress claims, you can send pre-emails too. So you can send, hey, just so you know, there will be a progress claim coming up in 5 days. It will be this. Make sure you've got that available to pay. Again, it's about how do you make this easy and help your clients, making the assumption that no one is doing this on purpose. If you make the assumption that everybody wants to pay you on time and everybody wants to give you and value you for your work, you'll find that this is much easier, helping them do what they wanted to do anyway. And if they don't pay on the day, get really quick. You don't start sending emails 7 days later. You make a call, text the following day. Hey, I think you might have just missed that. Next day, call. Escalate it very quickly. The first 7 days is your friend. That's where you're going to get most of the results. If it's anything afterwards, it's a pain in the ass. Xero, QuickBooks, they all have good follow-up processes. Xero even now has a progress claim portion in it if you aren't using a job management system. You can also reward speed and penalize delays. I've seen some guys, especially with fixed cost trade, especially with client related, if you do discounts for upfront payments, just small, it's amazing what people do for a few percent if they've got the cash, especially where this is allowed. So obviously there are to what you can do in some industries, so keep that in mind. But for those that you can, get upfront payments. Obviously just need to be professional, predictable, and upfront, and make sure that you're being legal about how you do it. So what happens when you change your terms? Now, when builders think about tightening payment terms, I'll say this again, they always say, what if we lose work? What happens is clients actually won't push back unless you're doing it on a job that's happening right now, or you're not providing the value. Again, this is a value exchange. This is what I'm promising to give you. This is what I expect in return in order to do. You're saying we're tightening up our system so we can deliver faster, more predictable service with less lag. Admin's expensive, takes up time, and it gets in the way. It's a distraction from what we do. As part of that, we are standardizing our billing terms moving forward. It's clean, it's confident, it's clear. And when you deliver like a pro, have a business that can run without you, they're happy to pay you like one. If you treat them like an amateur, they'll pay you like an amateur. But if you're treating them like a pro, doing the right thing, They're not going to be able to find that anywhere else because everyone else in your industry, they're not doing it. So the result, your suppliers are going to get paid on time. They're going to be happier. You're going to get better deals out of them because you're going to be able to offer them better terms too and say, look, this is what I want. I'm going to give you early payment, but this is what I want. Cash isn't stuck in limbo. You're not spending so much time dealing with those chasing, which is, again, it is a distraction. And you're not bankrolling jobs that you're not a finance company. So final thought, and legends, let me be clear. You're not a bank, you're not a charity, you're a pro, and you're not your client's overdraft facility. You're a trade business, you need fuel. That fuel is cash. If you're running on fumes, it's not because you're bad at your business or bad at your job, and it's not because your clients are trying to rip you off. It's because no one's taught you to protect that cash conversion cycle like it's your number one KPI. Protect it, guard it, and for the love of the tools, stop bankrolling those clients. Remember, systemize it, optimize it, delegate it. That's how you're going to scale it. Catch you next time.